Hi friends, it's VoiceOver Leslie here. So let's get started building the Fairfield. The Fairfield is a miniature dollhouse made by Greenleaf. It is a 1/24 scale, also called half scale. I am checking out all the instructions for the Fairfield dollhouse, trying to figure out what is going on here. Just looking through the paperwork and how am I going to start this thing? Since this is my first ever dollhouse, I've done room boxes, I've done rooms, dioramas, miniatures. As a completed dollhouse, this is my first. I am just looking at all the wooden pieces. Everything has a number on it somewhere on the piece of square wood to correlate with the instructions. So I am just cutting things out and trying to start with the base. This is the foundation. I am just cutting out all these pieces. This wood is not fun to work with at all. I have to sand it a lot and use my X-Acto to cut things out, which is fine and to be expected. It's kind of a cheap wood. We're just working it out right here, and I'm getting some splinters as I go, so that's what I'm doing there. I'll be using my 1, 2, 3 blocks to square things and also to hold things down while things are gluing in place. Just FYI, you'll probably hear my kids in the background here because I'm working at my kitchen table at this time. This was back in September, October where I started this, and my kids were home that time, and you'll kind of hear them playing around in the background during this video. So I believe I have all the pieces for the fireplace, and I'm building them next. So we have the fireplace. We'll let this dry, and then we'll move on to the next steps. So this is set aside just to dry. I'm waiting on a hot glue tip that's like very skinny, so you could do a little hot glue and make it dry faster. Some wood glue in my 1, 2, 3 blocks, and we'll let that dry and then continue with the stairs. So now I have this center wall that I need to add in here. I think it's gonna go somewhere there. I'm going to sand the little bits that need to be sanded and then place that in. We have these 2 walls in, not glued in, but slotted in. And then I'm gonna add the chimney. All right, guys, I am trying to put this chimney through this second floor. It is a tight squeeze. I'm going to do my best to try to get it through. It's the struggles with this kit, so I'm trying to take my time and breathe and get through these little tough spots. I'm going to see if I can get it through this hole without having to cut anything. All right, I got it through the slot, some sanding and some hammering, and I'm gonna keep getting it into the right spot. It's supposed to go down around this window. I'm upside down right now. So we are connected. I feel like, I'm not sure where that tab is, and this tab right here was way too long, so I had to trim some to make it fit into the slot that's right here. We'll go with it. Nothing's glued. I realize I haven't wallpapered or added rugs or flooring or anything. For this build, I'm going to do that afterwards. We have this back wall in place. There is this nice gap right here. We will make it work. That's the name of the game. We're gonna make it work, people.
Make it work.
Make it work. This staircase is something, but I'm gonna keep going with it. I'm really not sure if there's a better way to do it than using my 3, 2, 1 blocks and wood glue. It's not looking too pretty right now. Now I'm gonna add the risers and the steps. I have all these. I'm not too much of a fan of this wood, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Have our stairs made. Painted the stairs. This is like a dark brown, and I like that color because in my head I feel like Victorians, the woodwork is dark brown. This is going to be an 80s house, but I feel like some of the woodwork and stuff they would have kept dark brown. Added some coffee stir sticks in here and on the sides. I wanted to kind of give it a little bit of dimension. And then I painted the upstairs, the stairwell white. We'll do some more touch-ups in there. I think this area is going to be kind of hidden once the house is put together. I highly suggest paint your stairs. Do whatever you want to your stairs first before you put them in your house. I did not do this because I wasn't sure what was going to be shown. Just paint them before you put them in. Paint the banisters because this took me forever to paint and then try to get white around the stairs. Paint that stairwell area before you place it in as well. A lot of people paint everything, but I'm not sure, and I'm going to go ahead and paint and wallpaper the rest of the rooms afterwards. The directions want me to do the tower next, which goes in this section. I need to get the flooring in before I put that tower in because it will block off the flooring. I think I'm going to use coffee stir sticks because that's what I have. Now, the dilemma I have is there's a big gap. There's these gaps everywhere. I don't know if that's warping due to the kit or the way I glued certain pieces together, like this fireplace. Maybe I could tell, like, see the fireplace, that's level, but there's a gap back there. So I think with molding and just my decorations, I'm just gonna have to deal with the gaps and figure it out as I go, because I don't know any other way to do it. So, and I think it will work just fine. Up here on the second floor where the tower is supposed to go in, this tower piece does not fit, and I have to figure out how to make it fit. I can't go bigger that way because I'm gonna hit a wall. So I need to open up this gap a little bit more. I feel like I got this pretty square. I think it's just the spacing. So that's what I'm gonna do for the tower. We'll see if I can make that work. We have the floor in place. I'm loving it. The glue still needs to dry, so that's why you're seeing all those like white patches. On the second floor, we have this area that's supposed to be the bathroom. I don't want a bathroom. We're gonna just pretend the bathroom is somewhere else. So instead, I'm going to, this is supposed to be the wall that separates these two rooms, and make this like maybe a game room. This is like an Ada's house. Maybe this is where the kids hang out. There's a bunch of beanbags and Atari, like video games and whatnot. That's my plan. I needed to fill in this space. So I just used some spackle and a coffee stir stick. All the ceilings are painted white. This is just a microfiber cheap cloth, and I want to make it a kind of like a brown shag rug back here. I just remember brown rugs from my childhood. So these make really good rugs for miniatures. These like cloths, you just cut them to your size. I'm going to paint this brown and then glue it in. I'm gonna do that now just because I want it in there before I put on this wall. And it's one of those things I should have done earlier, but I'm learning as I go because I've never done this before. So I think hard floors are easier, but like rugs, maybe I didn't need to put this one on, and I don't want to take it off. We're just gonna see what we can do with this. I'm just gonna use regular acrylic paint to paint it brown. I did this in a previous miniature, the Bad Dream. So it worked out pretty good. Let's give this a shot. Hi friends, it's been a minute since we've worked on the Fairfield. I have done a bunch of other projects in the meantime. So the Fairfield has been on hold, which won't mean anything to you guys because we're in the same video. But for me, it's been a minute. So I have my Fairfield here. I'm back in the basement. I was working in the kitchen before. My kids are in school. Let's see, I kind of have to rethink where I'm at and go from there. So let's continue on building the Fairfield, my 1980s house. This is what I have so far. Let's review for my sake. I have this. I wish I had a Lazy Susan for this. Last we saw was this rug. I put this rug in. So I painted this guy brown and glue, and he's all in there. Now, I think that looks pretty darn good. It glued down great and it's all where I want it to be. One thing I never hear is if people do this kind of rug method where they paint a rug, it's gonna be crunchy. It's no longer a soft rug, but that doesn't matter. And next I'm gonna continue putting on the walls. I decided I want a window on the porch. Am I gonna regret this later? I don't know. But we got our handy dandy Dremel. We're gonna drill some holes in it and then we're gonna cut out this square down here. You know what? We didn't get it square. It would have been better done before. Hidden, any little imperfection can be hidden by a frame around the window. I got my window. I wanted a window in there. I'm gonna clean up all the dust particles. Make sure when you're using a Dremel to wear a mask and all that good stuff. Protective eye gear. So I put away my Dremel. I always put it away when I'm done because my Dremel is a grinder, a carving tool, and it's operated by a foot like a sewing machine. So if you accidentally step on that thing, woo, chaos could happen. That's put away. Also, it smells delightful in here. If you like the smell of cut wood, woo, smells good. So let's continue on with the next piece. Now I have to go back to my directions again and see what's next. This doesn't add any structure. This is just to get a cleaner edge. We'll go ahead and slap some glue where we need it using Titebond wood glue. I'm actually glad I took a break from this, making this, because now I'm kind of excited about it again. This part's not really that exciting, the build, but decorating it is the fun part. Clamps come in handy for all sorts of projects. Right, now the directions want us to add the bay windows in. So these go in here. We've got one of the bay windows in, tape for clampage. Gonna work on the other one. We have the second bay window in. I am not gonna do the window trim right now because I haven't decided on that. After the window trim, the directions say, it says something about read the shingle bag first. So let's see what it wants us to do shingle related. Directions talk about doing the shingles and what to do if you're choosing to do different shingles. Future Leslie problem. I'm probably going to use the shingles it came with, and I've shingled before. Next is adding the gable roof. I think this is what it wants me to do. This, I believe, goes on this side. This goes here. Be glued there eventually. Okay. And then, where do you go? Then you go. But no siree, Bob. This is prime real estate in here. We don't want to enclose that. No, thank you. Somehow, we're going to do some finagling. Prime real estate. I cut my shape out here between my miter saw and my X-Acto. I was able to get a pretty square shape, hopefully. And so this guy should go in here. I had to trim a bit more off. I'm going to get this in this space here. Little gap on this side, but that's okay. So we have our little hole here. Now we need to work on the roof sections. So this wood glue, this goes on here. All right, we've taped the heck out of that thing. It is gluing in place, and any little imperfections I think we can hide with shingles. So we will make that good. I think that will be fine. I've been struggling with these cable roof things. I've glued them a million times, and every time I glue them in, they collapse. So this is my plan. I take my little roof. It's supposed to line up with the wall. I drew a line where the corners meet. All right. Then I'm going to take a mixture of hot glue, wood glue, and then I'm going to take these pieces, flat side against the wall, the longest side against the roof piece. I'm going to stick this here, and I'm going to stick it on the edge, let the edge meet up, and then I'm going to balance it down until it meets that corner. And then once it's there, Gonna take my handy dandy hot glue gun, tack it in there. Wood glue will secure it. Take this piece and stick it in here and then lay it down. That's the best I got to fit. And you know what? Any pieces, we will just put a little spackle or put a little wood glue. That worked the best for me. Next, we have to work this piece. We put this little border. I'm gonna turn this into like an upper porch, upper deck. I also opened this window into like a door. It might be a mini door and not as wide as other doors, but we're gonna work with it. I don't wanna take too much off because I don't wanna have to cut this roof line, and I might wanna put a little trim around here. So my friends, that concludes part 1 of my Fairfield build, that 80s house. In part 2, I think we'll address the wiring. I plan to wire the house from the outside is my idea. So I'm gonna work on, I've been doing lots of research, and I'm gonna work on wiring this house before I put shingles on and everything else. And I think the first room will be the loft, which is going to be the 1980s kids hangout space. This will be the first room I do. And I think I'll address the windows and the frame and everything as we go by room. And then probably to complete the project in the end is when I'll do the shingling and the porch. Now that the basic structure is built, we are going to start working on the inside. The upcoming videos will be a little more fun because that will be when we get to decorating. You got to build the structure first. So here's my Fairfield. I actually enjoyed it. I'm glad I spaced it over some time so I wouldn't get frustrated. I learned some tips from watching fellow YouTubers make it, and I feel pretty happy with it. I'll address any gaping holes, which will be covered up with shingles. Well, shingle the roof, and then, what's that called? Siding. Siding on the sides. I think that's it, guys. This will be an ongoing series, like my Never Ending Story series, where we go room by room. So if you have any 1980s ideas or things you think would be fun, my plan is I'm gonna have like a living room, a kitchen. I'm going to have a kids' loft, probably a little girls type of room. I'm thinking strawberry shortcake and rainbow bright, like the bright colors of a little girl's room. And then I plan to have probably a boys' room or a teenager room in the attic, where we'll think maybe Star Wars or movie posters or whatever we can come up with at the time. But if you have any ideas, please leave in the comment. Think 1980s. The whole theme is going to be around the 1980s, and we'll go from there. I think this is going to be a really fun project, and I hope you tune in to watch. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.